Shalom, everyone. This is Janice Baca, and it is so great to have you guys on with me today. You know, every time I see that introduction video, I think of my dear friend Brian Williams, because some of those videos, that footage he has there is from his footage. He took the videos of the top of Mount Sinai, and it's just, it brings amazing memories and thoughts of being there at Mount Sinai. But hey, I digress. So I've got some exciting things going on this time here around, and I'm so excited to have Brian Williams coming on with me. And guys, we've got something pretty amazing here at lambnetwork.tv. We've got a wonderful community of believers that are producers and do amazing shows. And I actually invite you guys to go and watch some of the other programs because they're pretty phenomenal. So, but hey, I want to say hello to a few people. Hey, looks like Animal Keeper 77, you finally caught us live. That's wonderful. And Janet, thank you for being on here. You guys are amazing. I appreciate your support. And hey, I've also got another announcement. My Discover the 144,000 and their song is free only today and tomorrow, the ebook on Kindle. So go to Amazon.com and purchase for free the Discover the 144,000 and their song. And I would be very grateful for your review on that book. And so you don't want to miss this opportunity. And so we got lots to share because Brian Williams and we're going to actually have some conversations about the 144,000. And I bet you guys haven't heard this before. So guess what? I'm going to bring Brian on. And so we're going to start chatting about that. So there he is, Brian, and my dear friend Brian. Welcome.
Well, hey, reporting for duty, willing and able. I am ready.
Well, I am glad you're here because this is you and I have been talking about this for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And so, Brian Williams, he and I work together at Project Truth Ministries, and you guys, I'll show you some of the links that you can go to get some information that's going to be on my PowerPoint. And so one of the things that we've really talked about before is the 144,000 and their song. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit more into their song because it's all into my book, right, Brian?
Yeah. Got to get that book. It's very, very well done. You really enjoy some of the amazing things in it. Yeah. So we'll tease you a little bit with it. Right.
We're going to tease you a little bit here because, we only have about 50 some odd minutes, right, Brian? So you can't go into much detail with the short program, but I think you guys will really love it. So, yes. So Brian, you're working with Project Truth Ministries with me, and we've gone way back. We've done a whole series on the Coach in Hebrew Revelation, the Scroll of Mysteries, and it took like a year and a half.
It took a while. It was a lot of study, a lot of videos, a little bit of editing. We didn't go crazy with the editing,
No,
but we put out. It took a while, and I'm telling you, people, you need to go watch the series that we did on Revelation, the Coach in Hebrew Revelation. It's amazing. It's crazy good. There's all kinds of big discoveries. And I'll tell you, just like everything that we do at Project Truth Ministries, we are basically from a high level teaching you text criticism and how to investigate, research, and sort through things from a very intellectual high level. And a lot of people don't have skills like that. A lot of people have never been introduced to something like that. And so we're doing it, and we're trying to give it to you because we love you, and we want the truth to spread.
We do want the truth to spread. Janet, I agree with you. This is something that I have studied for years. So let me tell you what's going on. My book was released on the 7th, right? The December 7th date. 6 days later, I was contacted by the director of Oprah's book club. Now, you may have some good ideas and bad ideas. I don't know. But what I know is this, is that I must be onto something. That's what my bottom line is, though I thought about it and considered, how does she even find my book after being released only 6 days? Couldn't tell you. But what I do know is that I think that this is extremely important information. What do you think about that, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. And God can use all kinds of people. Doesn't matter who they are. He can use
That's right.
all kinds of people to spread his message and get his word out around the world. That's just
That's right.
how amazing our creator is.
That's right. And it's what's really important is, if you don't mind, writing the reviews for my book, and so that it does get circulated more so, and so that the message can get out to the all of the 144,000 and all of the believers who maybe have been a little bit confused about this.
Mhm. Yeah. And we get questions all the time, Janice, about how can we help you? How can we join the fight? How
Mhm.
can we support you? Well, you can share all of our stuff. Share it, send it
Absolutely.
out, spread the word, tell people about what we're working on. That's the best way and the
Absolutely.
easiest way. Hey, text it to 5 people. How about that?
There you go, and then tell them to text it to 5 people. I don't
Yeah.
know what that's called, but a chain something or another. But
That's called the truth spreading.
this is okay,
There you
we'll
go.
go with that, the truth spreading,
Yeah.
Brian. So, hey, Brian, I'm gonna show
Mhm.
some slides because you and
Yeah.
I did a video, and I want people to see what we've done so that they can recognize it and go back and watch it. So,
Mhm.
there we go. Let me actually, advance my slide. So looky there, you guys.
Mhm.
Brian and I, when was this? Last week, Brian? Last week we did a video on
Yes.
this?
Yes, and this video was a long time coming. We actually have been talking about this for well over a year, about putting out this information on these tablets, these golden and lead tablets that you and I, Janice, had come across in Saudi Arabia, and
Yes.
we were part of a team to analyze them. We were basically the first people to actually analyze them and attempt to translate, and probably the only group so far, because those tablets kind of have disappeared so
Yes.
far. They haven't resurfaced in public. So we got
Yes.
exclusive photos and we got exclusive story about being at
Yes.
ground zero.
I'm telling you, you guys, you do not want to miss this video. Go back to Project Truth Ministries YouTube channel and watch that video because we reveal a great deal of information. Here's some of our information where you can go look at on my personal YouTube channel, on the Project Truth Ministries YouTube channel, as well as our website at projecttruthministries.org. And so, but you know what, Brian, I need to address this. Somebody says, where do we find your book? So
Mm.
you want to go to Amazon.com and you can look under my name, or you can look under Janice F. Baca, or at, you can do the research on Discover the 144,000 and their song. And you can see that, make sure it's me as the author. Then choose the ebook or the Kindle book. You can buy it for free. It'll just do the one click buy for free. And then you'll have that available to read. And then you can write a review, and you would be a verified purchaser, and your ranking and review hits higher. So, but if you guys have any problems, you can contact me as well. But you only have today and tomorrow to get that ebook. So, hey, Brian, let's go ahead and look a bit further. There's the
Yeah.
book cover, you guys. I would show you the book, but you know what? You guys get the books faster than I do. That's the funny thing. When an author publishes books, they don't get their books for weeks. And yet I have people saying, you know what, Janice, I just got your book. I got your book. I got your book. And I'm like, well, I wish I had my own book. It's sad, but it's
Yeah.
true.
And there's nothing like a good book with a nice smell in your hands that you can write
Absolutely.
on and make notes.
That's
So
what I
yeah,
do.
definitely get that.
I do. I highlight, I dog ear my corners. I'm hard on my books. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing. So I love books. So Brian, we're going to have
Mhm.
some conversation about in
Yeah.
Revelation 7:14. We want to know, who are these people that are the
Uh-huh.
144,000? Now, I don't know. Should we just dive into
Oh
this and
yes,
see?
there's been a lot of people throughout history who have come up with all kinds of theories, but we actually have some so basically like a new revelation
Yeah.
based on the grammar and text of the
Yeah.
Hebrew revelation that was found at in Cochin, India. That's
Yep.
housed in the Cambridge Library in London. So, we got something even more grander than all these crazy doctrines that have popped up throughout the years. By the way, Janice, may I share with our audience
Please.
just a brief summary of some of these major big
Yeah, and talk a little bit more
doctrinal
about
beliefs?
why the Cochin revelation is so important. So yeah, please go ahead and get
Yeah.
into that.
So yeah, let me just read through some of these doctrinal beliefs that different denominations. These are not all of them, because the list would be extremely long if I were to read out
Right.
all of them. But the typical evangelical dispensational belief, they believe in a literal versus symbolic. They believe in a literal and of who these 144,000 are, and that they believe is literal Jews from 12 tribes. Now we know, our audience is very smart. Jews, we're talking about the Israelites. Israel was made up more
Yes.
than just Jews or the tribe
That's
of
right.
Judah. So yeah, I digress on that. There's the symbolic church view. They believe everything's symbolic, and that the entire body of believers, anybody who's
Yes.
believing, that they're 144,000. It doesn't make too much sense if that's the case. That's a small number, right?
Yes.
Jehovah's Witnesses out there, they believe in
Yep.
a literal, and they
And they
believe
believe
it's
it's only them, right?
they believe it's only
Okay.
from their denomination, and that they are anointed Christians within the Jehovah's Witness that are going to rule in heaven. And there's some question on whether or not, like, the last few that are in charge of their church are the last few left, and everybody else is not going to make it. Then there's then there's the Seventh-day Adventists. They believe in a mixed, either symbolic or literal. And there's this faith remnant at the end times. So it's a small group of just faithful people. And then there's the Catholic or mainline Protestant, that they believe it as symbolic. Symbolic being faithful people of God is the 144,000.
And they're only Catholic then to them, right?
What?
I can only
Catholic
assume
or
so.
mainline Protestant. I mean, they're like, oh, just just us,
Yeah.
our denomination. But that's
Yeah.
not what the text says. The text does not say that.
No,
People are
and
feeding in what they want.
yeah, but Brian, the reason why the Cochin Hebrew Revelation, the Scroll of Mysteries, is so essential is that we know it was written in Hebrew, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
we know it was written in Hebrew. There's a lot of
Yeah.
markers that actually tells us that. Go ahead.
Right. It's written in Hebrew.
Yep.
And all the writers were Hebrew. They were Hebrew writers, of the New Testament, and they spoke Hebrew. They lived in a Hebrew nation. Their religious text was Hebrew, and we can see, they going to the synagogue, they would have been speaking and reading in Hebrew.
Yes.
So, this whole business of, the New Testament is Greek. Well, culturally and historically, that doesn't make sense. Then secondarily, when you start to analyze the text, you start to see things come out of the text that points to it being a Hebrew original.
Yes.
And won't get into the technicals of that, because that takes a while. But trust me, there's a lot of Hebrew markers, especially in the one from Cochin, India, that me and Janice has studied.
Yes. And not only that, we actually did a whole series of all of the Cochin Revelation, the Scroll of Mysteries. Now, we bring that up because this is actually, there's a number of miraculous things that happen to even draw me to the Scroll of Mysteries and to even connect me to different things, such as the Song of the Sea, such as even finding Ezekiel 9. And there was, where the demons, devils, and deities came from and the connections there. All these miracles have happened through the Scroll of Mysteries. I need to address something real quick. Eddie, he's having some trouble downloading the book on Amazon. Make sure you've chosen the Kindle version, the ebook version, and then you can click buy. And of course, it'll be $0.00. But no one's had any problems at this point. So just make sure you're clicking on the right book and then purchase at $0. So, but hey, Brian, I want to continue on and actually show this because we, this is where, the Father has shown me some things. I'm trying to add it to the stage. There we go. The Father showed me some things, a lot of things through the Cochin manuscript. And it's really been so exciting because he's shown you some things, me some things, and even our viewers some things, right? And so there's a lot of connections. Now, it's not a perfect manuscript, but it's better than the Greek. I can tell you that much. And it's better than the Aramaic. So we know that the Crawford Aramaic and the, what was the other, Murdoch Aramaic, both of those are translations from the Greek. But the Cochin, the Scroll of Mysteries, is not a translation from the Greek. Solid, not a translation.
Yeah, and anytime you have text variants, the Cochin completely just stands alone. And in fact, the sentences are more clearer and more precise and are more accurate to what we see culturally and also compared to the New Testament or Old Testament.
That's right.
We'll kind of get into that tonight.
So, and I'm glad you brought that up because we're going to be reading through some of the verses from the Scroll of Mysteries and some of the verses that we've actually found some connection to, which was the first aha moment. Well, actually, there was several at the same time aha moments, and this is one of
I tell you what, our brains got blown so much through that study. You could see like our veins popping out in our recording is like, man, just another day at the office. My brain got blown again from what's in the text.
That's exactly right. Now, I have to tell you, for this one, I actually cried. I was in I had so much joy in my heart because I started finding the validating things, not only of who the 144,000 are, but also their song. I know I haven't hit hard on the song yet, but the song, I go into detail in the book and the restructuring of the song. And I know we can't really touch that tonight. I'm going to try to get that, into this presentation. But if not, it is most certainly in the book. So, but Brian, I'm going to go ahead and let me see if I can get this bigger for us. I'm going to read this out of the Scroll of Mysteries, and hopefully you guys can follow along. This is from Revelation 7, verses 2 through 8. And this is out of the Scroll of Mysteries. Then after this, I saw 4 messengers standing upon the 4 corners of the earth, gripping the 4 winds of the earth in their hands, so that the wind would not be upon the earth, nor upon the waters, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger who came from the east of the sun. With him was a seal of the living and the existing El. He cried out with a great voice to the 4 messengers who were permitted to damage the earth and the sea. He said, "Don't damage the earth, nor the sea, nor even a tree, until I give a mark upon the foreheads of the servants of Jehovah." Then I heard the number that was sealed. 144,000 were sealed of the clans of the children of Israel. From the tribe of Judah were 12,000. From the tribe of Reuben were 12,000. From the tribe of Gad were 12,000. From the tribe of Asher, 12,000. From the tribe of Naphtali were 12,000. From the tribe of Manasseh were 12,000. From the tribe of Simeon was 12,000. From the tribe of Levi were 12,000. From the tribe of Ishkar were 12,000. From the tribe of Zebulun were 12,000. From the tribe of Joseph were 12,000. From the tribe of Benjamin were 12,000. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before, when you're looking through this, I want to see, is this really just men, right? That's the question that's been assumed. Honestly, it's been assumed throughout all of these generations. It's always been assumed that it's only men. Mm-hmm. Here's the problem I have. people that know the Hebrew grammar, which there's not a lot that know the Hebrew grammar, right? Because the Hebrew grammar is extremely essential. You guys would be very, very surprised as to what is actually men or what is actually people. And it can still be like masculine plural, written out masculine plural, but I may be talking about a group of people. So now we've come across this conundrum, and we'll say, what is that? I mean, go ahead, Brian.
Let me say, and a lot of people will be lazy in their reading, especially for men when they read through, especially like a English translation, and they see men over and over. Well, they're only thinking men, or mankind, or human, masculine men,
right?
But in a lot of places, the English will not put any kind of identifier to let you know that this is mankind. This is all of humanity. It's not just the men or males in a lot of the cases. And we don't have that obviousness in the grammar like the Hebrew does. The Hebrew will really show. You can look at the words around it. You can look at the context, and it'll let you know. And that's just the way the Hebrew is built. When you're talking about, respect and stuff, you just address it as men, like saying, hey guys, yes, there's ladies in here. So that's kind of what we're talking about here.
That's exactly what we're talking about. It's kind of like saying the hey guys. And so now when they're doing a translation, if it is more literal translation, they may just put men. And then people automatically assume it's just men. But that's not true according to the Hebrew grammar. We have to look to see, is this what we call masculine plural, or is it common plural? And so now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the grammar. So let me show my slide again so we can look at this. Now, you definitely and absolutely want to translate according to the context. Now, out of everything that I have just read to you, I see nothing that tells me that this is men only. These are men dressed up for war. These are Levite men that are doing whatever. I'm not seeing anything like that tells me these are men only. So the only word that I could find is the word servants of Yehovah, Avdei Yehovah. Now, when you look up servants of Yehovah, we can see in Joel 2:29, there are male and female servants.
Yeah.
There's not just male servants, there are male and female servants. So this clearly is a a common plural noun, that these are male and female servants. It can be men, and it can be men and women.
Well, let me just say this. Can everyone serve God? How about children? Can children serve God? God can use everybody.
That's exactly right. And I don't see anything that tells me it's not children either, Brian.
Yeah.
There's nothing in this text right here that actually is glaring, whether it's in Hebrew or in English, nothing that tells me that this is men only. So we look further, because we have in Revelation 14 a continuation of the description of the 144,000. Now we come to the bottom of this and we say, yep, Joel 2:29, definitely there are male and female servants. So we're not conclusively saying now it's either male and female. So now let's just go ahead and investigate further. Now we're comparing a few verses that is in Revelation 14:3 and then in 14:4. And then, of course, 14:5. I'm going to read those so that we can talk about that a little bit more. It looks like StreamYard kind of makes my verses a little bit scrawny, but it's okay. They were singing the renewed song before the throne, the four living creatures, and the elders. No one was able to learn this song but the 144,000 that he redeemed from the ground. Now, guys, I'm going to touch on that in a little while, but
yes, that's a loaded one right there.
That's a loaded one, right? So wait a minute. All right, let's go to the next one. These are those who did not sin with women and are like virgins, ket betulot, who go after the Lamb and purchase for the firstborn of Yehovah and the Lamb. In their spirit is no deceit, for they are blameless before the throne of Yehovah. Now, the reason why I have these letters, most of these letters and these words in gold, is because, again, even though these are pronouns that are masculine plural, they can also be common plural. The they, meaning all of them and all of they, those, that can be common plural. We yet still have not defined these are men only. It can be men, women, and children. At this point, I don't see anything that tells me anything differently.
Yeah. Now let's just stop real quick, because people, they might not be used to the term common plural.
Okay.
We have your masculine, you have your singular. So
Yep.
when it's talking
Masculine,
about like
singular. Yep.
one tree in a masculine form, you
Yep.
have masculine
Feminine,
plural,
Yep.
and you have multiple, and then you can have feminine singular
Yes.
and feminine plural.
That's exactly right.
But then you can also have what's called common plural.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And common singular.
Yeah.
So, and so that you get used to these terms. And I sometimes I forget. I'm glad you remind me of that, because sometimes I forget that not everybody understands those terms. So it isn't always masculine plural. So if you see the Scroll of Mysteries or anything else like the Coach in Matthew that we're working on, you may see a CP or CS or something like that. That would be common plural or common singular, meaning that it can be male or female. And so that's what we're looking at, male and female, of pretty much all ages. So when you see that, that's what we're looking at, right?
So the words are even more descriptive than their meaning.
That's exactly right.
So when people are like, "Oh, the Hebrew, it could be anything. It doesn't have the nikud, blah blah blah." Actually, like, you can get even deeper with the Hebrew than you can from the Greek or English, because Greek and English are very flat, very very literal. Like, there's not much depth to it, but there's quality and poetry, and you can get like 5 different meanings, all in the same essence in the Hebrew.
And that's the reason why we do the interlinear tables, Brian. And, you and I have had many discussions about this, that when you get into, Revelation 22, adding to or taking away from the words of the prophecy is a dreadful thing to even consider. So that's why we have the interlinear tables. That's why you see it in Hebrew. You see the transliteration.
I'm going to show all my work, people. I'm showing all my work. I don't want y'all. I don't want to be like standing on Judgment Day and be like, "Why did you change this to what's not there?"
And even if there's a case where there was, I think it was a noun being used as a verb, you're going to see a footnote. This person, the author used this noun as a verb. Yeah. I don't care how basic it seems. We are going to show our work, which is what everybody should be doing.
And we even showed crossouts, things that were crossed out.
Absolutely.
The scribe was like, I wrote this, but it's probably not this, and crossed it out. We showed that too. We went to that kind of like revealing of what was actually in the text. Right. We even show images of the Hebrew.
Yeah.
Text.
And then we got, and bearing that in mind, Cambridge University, I even had permission from them, and they stay in touch with me. Yeah. They are thrilled that this information is getting out and for free. So, you can go to projecttruthministries.org and you can download your own copy. You can review it yourself. We can go to my academia account. It's on there as well. We show our work and we hand it out for free because it's the word of God, right?
Right.
So let me push it on. Okay. So now we're looking at, we still don't have that it's not men only or men and women, right? But I do want to touch on this virgins thing and the women.
Yes.
So go ahead, Brian.
Well, I just want to say something about when you see we can see this as very Hebraic, right? So in the Greek, if something's like that you try to compare it exactly, but that's not the way the Hebrew works. It's not an exact comparison. For example, when God refers to Israel as a lion, are they literally a lion?
Yes.
No, they're not literally. Not everybody is lions and with claws, and that's not. It's the essence of. They're very aggressive in their attack, and they're cat-like in their viciousness. Or like Israel is a prostitute. They went after being harlot. Played the harlot. They're not literally a prostitute.
Right.
They cheated on God, is what the message is. So there is this quality to it. So when it's like something, it's not a match for match. It's a quality of it.
That's right. That's right. Oh, look, Stephanie Gonzalez. She says she's got hers. Yay. Well, thank you. Thank you. And please let us give us a
Awesome.
good review. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
So guys, look at the image to your right. Do you see there's a gold box around that letter that's to the right, to the far right. That is a Hebrew letter Kaf. That one letter changes everything. That right there is the word that means like or as. And so they're not virgins, but nevertheless, this, even if we didn't have that, this is a metaphor. This is an imagery that they are like virgins. They're not worshiping idols. They're not worshiping other gods. They are like virgins because they have not worshiped other gods. So that they're like virgins.
And that will be a big tie-in for what we'll go look at in the Old Testament.
Yes.
That's completely connected to this verse and what we discovered in the coaching.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So then, of course, they did not sin with women. Now, that literally could be translated. These are those that did not sin with the women, like whoredom.
Like prostitutes or temple prostitutes, like pagan temple.
Or just
because Israel was always falling in and out.
It would still be more like idolatry and worship of other gods and all that too. So a little bit of all that. But here we're saying, okay, we still have a potential that is men, women, and even children. I don't see anything that tells me different. What about you, Brian?
Nope, I don't see it.
Okay. So now we've come to the conclusion. These are 144,000. At this point in time, we see men, women, and possibly even children. They are servants of, actually, we know we do have it conclusive because they're servants of Jehovah. And we know that the servants of Jehovah, there are those that are in Joel 2:29. So they're like virgins. And guess what? They sing. And I can't get into that singing today, but that singing is a miracle singing, you guys. Oh my gosh. It's a miracle singing. God. So, but okay. Now, there is one more place, Brian, where there were people who were sealed. Now, wouldn't it be a pretty awesome thing if we could connect the scroll of mysteries to the Ezekiel chapter 9 and actually show this connection? Let's look and let's see.
It would be and is, right?
I think so. Okay, so I go back and I look at this and I say, you know what? Let's go look at who these folks are in Ezekiel 9. So I'm going to read this to you guys. Then he called out in my hearing with a loud voice, saying, let those who have charge over the city draw near, each with his deadly weapon in his hand. And suddenly 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with his battle axe in hand. One man among them was clothed in linen and had a writer's inkhorn at his side. They went in and stood beside the slaughter place. Now the glory of Elohim of Israel had gone up from the cherub where it had been to the threshing floor of the temple. And he called to the man clothed with linen, who had the writer's inkhorn at his side. And Jehovah said to him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark upon the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. To the others, he said in my hearing, go after him through the city and kill. Do not let your eyes spare, nor have any pity. Utterly slay old and young men, maidens and little children and women, but do not come near anyone on whom there is a mark, and begin at my sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were before the temple. Then he said to them, defile the temple and fill the courts with the slain. Go out. And they went out and killed in the city. Now, I want to talk about this. Let me see if I can show our faces here, Brian. So I want to talk about, we've got to figure out the author, right? We want to know a little bit more about Ezekiel and how he writes. So the big question of the day, remember when I told you guys earlier that like the word men or anashim in Hebrew, it can be masculine plural or common plural. the question today here in Ezekiel 9 is, well, is it masculine plural or is it common plural? So if he's saying go and just go seal the men and only the men and their foreheads, or is he actually making a more global statement?
Yeah.
Well, the suggestion I have is let's compare Ezekiel to Ezekiel. Because if Ezekiel would use any pronoun globally, like a common singular or common plural, then I would say he probably would do that here, make it more a common noun, right?
Mhm.
So I have these words to go after a him. Him is who in Hebrew, and it is masculine singular. Now, Brian, do you think that Ezekiel would call me a him?
No, and
You
even
don't think
the
so? Would
no.
he?
Oh, you mean in group setting, right?
Well,
Yeah.
well, would he? I mean,
Yeah,
he
well,
might.
let's think about this. Let's think about this logistically. If he only marked the men in Jerusalem
Yeah.
and they went through with the battle axe killing everybody, then
Uh-huh.
only men would survive, and that would be very unfortunate to the women and children
It
who
would.
are even a part of that man's family. So that
Yes.
wouldn't make much sense. Actually, what would make sense is that he would be talking about all the ones who refuse to fall to the abominations.
Right. So let's look at this next, the second paragraph. Now, there were women in this group because clearly he identifies young men, maidens, and little children and
Right.
women, those that are going to be slayed. But notice how he says, go after him.
Hmm.
And he's referring to young men, maidens, and little children and women.
Yeah.
So now we've got a flavor. We've got Ezekiel using a masculine singular noun to go after all of these age groups.
All encompassing, because the context says that it's
Yes,
all
men and women
encompassing.
and children,
Right.
right? So now we see he can use him to be young men, maidens, little
Yeah.
children, and women. So now there's, for the him, that's all groups. Now we've got anashim for men. That is now considered common plural. It's mankind.
Mhm.
It is
Makes
not.
sense.
Yeah, it does,
Makes
doesn't it?
sense.
But here's where it gets really exciting. Let's just keep going.
Mhm.
First of all, there are the sealed ones in Ezekiel 9 are men, women, and even children. They're the ones that are sighing and crying over the abominations in Jerusalem. Now, the question I have is, has this happened yet? Well, let's see.
Well, I'll say the theory out there, right? Because we want to know the different theories just for sake of information. The theory is that it was fulfilled in when Babylon took Israel, but we have no record of that actually happening. That somebody went through, marked people, and then only a small number who didn't fall to abominations or paganism.
Right.
So we don't actually have any history to support that theory, just the fact
Nope.
that Jerusalem fell.
No. And the matter of fact, in Ezekiel 9, verse 9, it says that the punishment is coming upon both Israel and Judah. But
Mhm.
the northern kingdom of Israel had fallen more than a century before Ezekiel even wrote this prophecy. So
Right.
this prophecy is for a future generation.
That's pretty
Wow.
big. That's pretty big.
mind-blowing, right?
Yeah. It's still on the table.
It is still on the table, guys. This
Yeah.
has not happened. So that looks like the 144,000 will be the ones who will be in Jerusalem at the time of the sealing. And of course, Yeshua is the one that is coming dressed in linen. And Brian, when the high priest is dressed in linen, guess what? It's at the Feast of Atonement, the holiest day of the year.
Yeah. I pull out some little things here and there. The scribe, that you see in Ezekiel, dressed in linen. Let's back up. It's 6, warrior men or battle men. 6 is the number of man, but it's also connected to the destroyer and Satan and the mark of the beast, 666. This is death. They are coming to kill and
Mm.
destroy. Destruction is there, and that is their whole goal.
Wow.
And it's God that is blocking them. Well, ooh, that sounds like ancient Egypt, right?
Yeah.
With the Passover, same
Yeah.
thing. You gotta be marked. You're either marked for God or you're marked as the enemy of God, and you don't want to be that.
No, you
Trust
don't.
me.
But you know what? Let's see. Is this the next
Mhm.
slide? I don't know if this is the one that's me talking about
Yep.
that. We're going to do some comparison between the Revelation 7
Mhm.
4 and Ezekiel 9 4. Okay. And this is a mark. So I'm glad you brought up. Boy,
Yeah.
you're just right on time, Brian. Okay, so Revelation 7, verse 3. I'm going to remind you again what it says. And he said, don't damage the earth, nor the sea, nor even a tree, until I give a mark upon the foreheads of the servants of Jehovah. Those words, my friends, in Hebrew is Tav al Mitzchot.
Tough.
Okay.
Tough.
Tav al Mitzchot. Now I'm going to look at Ezekiel 9, verse 4, and it says, and Jehovah said to him, go out through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads. That's Ezekiel 9, verse 4. Guess what, guys? Tav al Mitzchot.
Mm.
Why is this important to you guys? Let me explain why this is so important. Tav al Mitzchot now actually connects the scroll of mysteries, Coach in Hebrew Revelation, to Ezekiel 9. There is literally no other Hebrew manuscript that has
Mhm.
that kind of connection. That is one of the more explosive findings to date. Well, we got so many, honestly. I mean, I could go on and on about all the different
Yeah.
findings we wouldn't stop, right? I'd be in all kinds of trouble. We'd go until midnight.
We have a mountain of big discoveries.
We
In
do.
our series. Go check it out on our YouTube channel. But
We do.
continue, Janice.
So anyway, so the Tav al Mitzchot now is actually quoting out of Ezekiel 9, right?
Same phrase.
But here's where it gets really phenomenal. That when you see the Tav, now the Tav does mean mark or sign. I'm
Mhm.
not saying it doesn't mean that, but
Yeah.
I found it really interesting that throughout time, Tav not only does mean mark and sign, it also has done a grammatical shift to also mean music sign or music note. And so it seems to hint that when they're sealed, that some kind of frequency or music is given to them when they get the Tav al Mitzchot, the Tav upon their forehead mark. And that is just the most wonderful
Yeah.
thing to ever imagine, right?
And how amazing of a connection that is,
Yes.
because we know that the 144,000 are singers. They're going to be singing
That's
and worshiping to the Lamb in
That's
the
right.
end. And I remember, when I came to know the truth and I was reading about them, and I would come across people all the time that would be like, no, the 144,000, they're like Marines and they're going in and they're doing, they're fighting, or they're like leading people or they're doing all this other stuff. And I'm like, wait, I just read that they're singing. They
They're
are
singing.
singers, and they
But it's
are
a warfare song, right? I think it's a warfare
sure.
song myself.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love the
and
war dance songs kind of
right.
stuff.
Absolutely. It's like the ultimate singers. And
Yeah,
they're marked for that. That is their task, is to be the worshipers
they
of
are
the
the
Messiah.
worshipers. But you know what's really phenomenal? Remember, Brian, when we found that when those who worship the dragon and the beast, they don't get a tav. It's something else in Hebrew. It says siman.
Mm.
The siman that they get. Now, granted, guys, it still means mark or sign.
Sure.
If I were to simply translate that from Hebrew into English, you wouldn't have a clue the differences.
Yeah. And it's loaded. It's loaded.
It is.
Can I say what it is?
Go ahead.
Omen. It's an omen. It is
does.
bad. It comes with a curse. You
That's
take the
right.
mark of the beast, you're cursed. And
That's
you can't
right.
get out of it.
And here's the deal. So what Brian's referring to is the first time, this is a Mishnaic word, siman. This Mishnaic word, now let me just go back and explain Hebrew. So the Hebrew is not Hebrew. Hebrew is Hebrews. There's ancient or archaic Hebrew, there's First Temple Hebrew, Second Temple Hebrew, late Second Temple Hebrew, and modern Hebrew. And they're all different, very different. That's the reason why we do a grammar analysis, that we look for the grammatical shift. So now, late Second Temple Hebrew is either called New Hebrew or Rabbinic Hebrew. Now, a subset of that Rabbinic Hebrew exists in the Mishnah, which is a Jewish writing that was published early on, I think about 100 CE. And when you see it existing and used in the Mishnah, we call that Mishnaic Hebrew. Mm-hmm. So the Siman, it was first found in the Mishnah, and it was translated, as Brian said, omen. Oh my gosh. So the thing is that it seems to be, not only does it mean a mark, but there seems to be an omen that comes with that mark. That's crazy talk.
Yes. And, who to think, if you sign on with evil, that, there's baggage that comes with it. There's a consequence that comes with it.
That's
right. Of course.
Absolutely.
And it reminds me of Cain. Cain, when he killed Abel, he was marked, but he was also cursed. Everywhere he went, everybody knew, like, get away from this guy. This guy's bad news.
I think somebody brought that up. Was it the same thing? I'd have to look to see what Cain was marked with. I don't know. I'll look, have to look at the Hebrew, but Siman absolutely is, if you want to be one of the 144,000, you want to get the tav, which is the mark of the sign. That is a good thing that possibly may come with music or frequency. You don't want the siman, so don't go getting anything in your right hand, your forehead, and oh, this is convenient. I can just whip my hand over there and make a purchase. Nope, not a smart thing to do. So
you're gonna have to face the Creator afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. There's absolutely, it's a dreadful.
You don't really have a choice. Really, if you're a believer, you don't have a choice. Just don't take anything. Don't take a mark, something that might be on the fence and you're not sure about. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Why risk it, right?
No, don't ever risk it. Yeah. So let's continue on, right? We're going to continue on. So now we got the Tav meets Chot, and I put the image there on the right where you can see it in the Scroll of Mysteries. And so let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So here's our summary between the two. At this point in time, Brian, we know that the 144,000 are men, women, and possibly even children. They're going to be in Jerusalem when they're sealed. They are servants of Jehovah, such as in Joel 2:29, and they are like virgins. They sigh and cry over the abominations in Jerusalem, and they are redeemed from the ground. Oh my gosh, Brian, we got to talk about the redeemed from the ground kind of thing.
Yes.
So
can I say something real quick before we move on? Yeah. So, I love numbers. I love counting when I see repetition, and biblical numbers have meaning. And so we have 12,000 of each tribe. That's 12 and 12. 12 has a very distinct meaning. And we know the 12 disciples also,
That's right.
12 tribes of Israel. But 12 relates to divine government, God's authority, perfection, and completeness. So we're talking God's perfect plan in its completeness when we're talking about 12,000, 12 times, 144,000. That's what that number really means, is perfect completeness from God.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense to me, Brian. So redeemed from the ground. Now, in the Greek, it says redeemed from the earth. In the Scroll of Mysteries, they use a word that is ha'adamah. Ha'adamah is ground. It can be translated to earth, but like an earthly ground. So it seems to me that either all or part are redeemed from the past, right? They're raised from the dead. Now, I know there's a verse that says all are to die, but we have actually some people in the scriptures that some didn't die, such as Elijah.
Let me just say that verse you're talking about, all men are appointed to die.
That's it.
But think about this. Okay. The point of that verse is that they're appointed. Why are they appointed to die? Because of sin. If you have sinned, you have been appointed to die. And
Brian.
it takes Yeshua to do away with your appointment with death. That's what
That's
that verse is
awesome.
about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So my theory is that some will be transformed that are alive that day during that time frame. Some will be raised from the dead from the past, and that's what I think is going to happen. We'll see. We'll see. But that's something that I had considered, is that I think that some are coming from the past.
Right. Based on the words being used, the
Yes.
door is opened for like what we were suspecting. This could be a future event still
Yes.
on the table.
Yes.
And the people that are redeemed, they're the ones coming up that the grammar is opened the door that they're not necessarily dead.
That's
And
right.
so it could be 144,000 of people that are alive today.
That's
Or
right.
it could be, a span of
Throughout
some
the
are
generation.
living, some are dead, all that is still on the table
That's
and
right.
part of this. Yeah.
And it's something to
That's
consider. That's the reason why you and I have these discussions, because we've got to break out of the traditional teachings and say, let's consider our options.
Yeah.
And, at this point, those are options on the table. And so, take it into prayer, ask the Father to show you. And then surely when that time comes, we're going to find out, right? So it doesn't matter what you and I think. When that day happens, it's going to say, aha, so there it is. They're these people.
Yeah. And let's be honest, we're just searching
Yes.
through the text, just trying to find the truth, whatever it may be. And, maybe we could be off, but, at least we're approaching this with fresh eyes and honest searching heart. And, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen.
That's right.
Whether we're viewing it one way or another, it's going to happen.
It is going to happen, right?
And we're just saying, hey, we found some things that point a little clearer and might be the actual way to read that.
That's right. So let's go ahead and push on, because we have about 8 minutes and I want to be able to share all this if I can. So, all right. What is their song, Brian? Oh my gosh. What is their song?
They have the Song of Songs.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have included in my book a study done by Dr. Marilyn Mansfield. And one of her proposals is that in Exodus 38, verse 8 and 1 Samuel 2:22, the Hazavaot is that's used for the women that are ministering at the at the tabernacle. And what we really realize is Zavah. Now we hear the word Yehovah Zavaot, we hear that it's armies, but there has been a lot of intentional mistranslations of that word when it came to the women at the tabernacle at the entrance of the tent. And her argument has been that Zavah has been used two different places for two different situations. One, it was used for army, and two, it was used for the Levite priesthood. And so her argument, which I'm leaning towards, is that these were women that were fulfilling some role in the priesthood. They were ministering at the entrance of the tent because it's Zavah. Now, her argument is they're not in warfare. So we know that word Zavaot is not, they're not warring. They're not with their swords in their hand. They're not fighting people, and they're not in prayer either. Because that's a different word.
It's not locked into one specific thing. We could also say host. Sometimes host is used.
Host is used for armies as well. Exactly. So in this case, they're not army. It doesn't appear that the women at the entrance are army.
At the temple, so that would make sense.
So what would be the other? And the other option would be that they were serving in the role of a priesthood. Mm-hmm. So whatever that role is, they were serving at the entrance tent. So I include tons of information from her study in my book about the women at the entrance of the tent. Guys, it's time we break out of the doctrine and consider the option that perhaps our translators haven't been so honest with us. We have to do the digging into the Hebrew. We've got to do our own search, and we got to break out of some of this, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, Janice, you and I have conversations all the time
all the
about
time.
little nuggets of bad translating that we
Bad.
find are like, oh my goodness, I can't believe they did that. Look at that. That is not the
Yeah.
word. Why would the English do that? And it's just
Yeah.
something you have to deal with, and you have to put little footnotes, everybody.
Yeah.
When you find these, put a little footnote and say the Hebrew word is this and it means this.
That's right. Because Zavaot,
Mhm.
it is actually related
Mhm.
to warfare, army,
Yeah.
or it's related to the priesthood. That's the only two situations where it was used. That's why Yehovah is called Yehovah Zavaot. So, hey, let's continue. We got a few more minutes. I want to finish if we can. So then a miracle happened, and I guess I better show our faces again, because a miracle happened that I've been going to the Israel Institute of Biblical Studies, and I don't foresee myself quitting anytime soon. I've been in there for 7 or 8 years at this point. I've lost track of time. So I went through ABCDE courses and then BCDE again, and many other Hebrew courses, because I'm diving deeply into the Hebrew grammar. And one day I'll go to the Hebrew University when I feel like I'm ready to go and dive in. But nevertheless, I digress. So when I was in my second course, my instructor, he was a Cohen, he was a priest, and he was in Jerusalem. He actually did the Torah reading every Monday. So he was the first one to teach us about the Song of the Sea. Now, the Song of the Sea is older than what it appears to be. It's older, and it's been written way before it was ever sung. Now, it uses a word that has the root Zayin Mem Resh, and you can call it Zamar, but it's Zayin Mem Resh. Now, this word, he said that he and some of the other the Kohanim, the priests, believe that it means power of God singing. I can't dive into that. That's a whole nother teaching.
Power
But the
singing.
power of singing, right? Power of God singing. Ladies and gentlemen, the first song, when Yehovah says in 3 times in Isaiah and 3 different times in Revelation, he says, I'm the first and the last, the beginning and the end, and the ending is formed out of the beginning, or called out of the beginning. The first song, my theory is, will be also the last song, because it represents Yeshua. He was in the beginning and he's going to be at the ending. And this is the reason why the Song of the Sea should be the song of the 144,000. Now, I go into a lot of the grammar, a whole bunch of grammar in the book, guys, because there's been some changes to it and so forth. That's my argument, as well as Dr. Mansfield's argument. And so pretty phenomenal stuff, Brian. Unfortunately, though, we're out of time.
Oh,
we're out of time, guys. But I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Brian, thank you for coming on with me today.
Thank you for having me.
And so we are going to have to close up. You guys, it's great to see you. And I'm going to send you back behind the scenes, and I'm going to start our ending. So love you guys, and we will see you next week. Hey, Melody, my friend Melody, is going to be coming next week, and she's going to be talking about more deliverance things. So see you on the other side, guys.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hugie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.